Hello everyone and welcome back to another manga review. First of all, if this is the first video you are watching from me, I post new book reviews almost every single day. So if you're looking for some reading inspiration for the summer, you just like seeing book reviews on a wide variety of books, maybe think about sticking around and seeing all my book reviews. Now let's talk about today's book, and that is volume 13 in the series that was recommended to me by a viewer, I think a couple months ago at this point, that I have been reading and loving. Volume 13 in Kaguya-sama Love is War. This is what the cover looks like. Again, I do have to say this series I feel like doesn't have very captivating covers, but let's talk about what's inside this book because wow, I am loving the way this book is going. This series is going, I should say. So, volume 13, at this point, I'm going to hope if you're clicking on volume 13, you don't mind if I'm talking about things that happened in volumes 1 through 12. If you do, this is your warning to maybe click away or watch my reviews on volumes 1 through 12 that I already have posted. But I'm going to be talking about a little bit of a recap about what's happened in the series up to this point. So, Volume 13 is the cultural festival. This is a prime time for the student body to get together, to hang out, to showcase these stalls, these booths that they've put together. I don't know why I struggled on the word booths. And things have kind of reached a peak between our two main characters, Shirogane and Shinomiya. So here they are, student council president and vice president, who have feelings for one another, who both want the other person to confess because they feel that being the first one to confess their love to the other is tantamount to losing. And they do not want to lose. These are highly competitive, genius level individuals who represent the best of the best in Japan, and they do not want to be the first one to crack. However, there's been a little bit of a development of the plot. So far, the series has been incredibly funny. It's been very lighthearted. It's been a lot about the banter and the situations that both of these characters create to get the other person to possibly confess. Neither one has been successful in 12 volumes, although there have been some very close calls, and there has been a lot of funny moments. I find myself laughing out loud when reading this series, which is always a good sign when reading a book. I feel like time spent laughing while reading a book is time well spent. So if you're looking for something that's humorous, then maybe check out this series, because up to this point it has been very, very funny, and you can tell that the characters really like each other at this point, and they both want the other person to confess. Both have kind of made a decision going into the cultural fest that they want to make their feelings public. They're willing to admit. I feel like Shirogane is a little farther along in his being in touch with his own feelings. He has decided that he is going to confess by the end of the cultural festival if she has not. And given the last 12 volumes, it is unlikely that Shinomiya is going to be confessing at this point. Shinomiya has made a little bit of personal growth, actually a lot of personal growth for Shinomiya. She has confessed that she actually likes Shirogane. To her maid, to her personal assistant, and to herself. But that is a huge step forward because up to this point she has kind of been pretending like she doesn't care. And that's kind of a defense mechanism. You can't get hurt if you pretend like you don't care. But ultimately, I feel like life's a lot better when you open your heart up, and yes, you're opening yourself up to maybe rejection, maybe feeling a little bit foolish, but life is so much better when you accept that's a risk that has to be taken because the reward, the payoff can be so good. So both of the characters have grown, but I think Shirogane is in a little bit of a better position in the sense that I think he is really ready to confess and he's not really wanting to go too much further. Now, this was kind of also sped along by something else that happened. The students are moving into their third year and they have to start thinking about the future. They're in this elite academy and they can continue into this elite academy system onto the university level, or of course they can always study at an external university, a different university. And these are the best of the best, so they have a lot of options. Now, in the last, I think it was the last volume, maybe 2 volumes ago, they were talking about where they want to go in the future, and Shinomiya, who comes from a very wealthy business conglomerate family, has a lot of money, will be staying in the system, the elite academia system, and going to university, of course, and that's kind of expected of her. She, however, doesn't really know what Shirogane has decided. Shirogane has had an opportunity to go to Stanford. He has decided he wants to study abroad in Stanford, and therefore he's seeing very closely, or he's noticing that very soon the paths are going to be divided, and he maybe has a limited time, a ticking clock that he has left with Shinomiya, and he's starting to develop very strong feelings towards her, so he is willing to take these risks that previously he was not willing to take to confess his love because he might be going to a different country on the other side of the world. So there's a little bit of pressure there. So the whole cultural festival still has elements of humor. I feel like it is leaning a little bit more into the serious romantic side, but they're still up to their usual tactics, because ideally for both of them still would be the other person confessing to them. They still really don't want to be the first one to confess. And at the cultural festival, at least at this school, there's a little bit of a myth, a legend, that if you give someone else a heart-shaped object, then you are confessing that you like that person. That's a way to show that you like someone, you have a crush. Maybe the guy sitting next to you in algebra is kind of cute, so you get a little heart-shaped candy and you give it to him, and then he knows that you are interested in him. It's kind of a shorthand that's developed at this school. So all of them are trying, well, all of them. Well, I'm sure a lot of other students are in on it, but Shirogane and Shinomiya are trying to get the other person, particularly Shinomiya is trying to get Shirogane to give her something or give Shirogane something, so she's up to her usual scheming. Shirogane has not entirely left all the scheming behind. He still is a schemer at heart, but I feel like he's starting to be a little bit more direct. And when he's direct by saying things like, let's walk around the festival, let's do this, let's do that, when he's not hiding the way he feels, it puts Shinomiya kind of on her back foot. She's kind of left flat-footed. She's like, she starts overthinking it. Like, is this some sort of trick? Is this some sort of scam? Is this some sort of situation that I'm being put in? She doesn't know how to react because she's not used to, or she hasn't even thought that Shirogane is capable of just wanting to spend time with her, and not to conceal the way he feels. So I feel like that level, that's going on where Shinomiya is still really into like the plotting, like maybe if I give him this, or maybe if I put him in this situation, this will occur. Well, Shirogane is kind of starting to drop all those pretenses because he knows the time pressure. Things are kind of brought to a head when Ishigami, who is another member of the student council, is not aware of the myth. Ishigami doesn't really know this myth exists. It's the kind of thing that isn't publicized, but is passed by student to student, and Ishigami has had a little bit of a checkered past. He was out of school for a while for not expulsion, what do you call it? Like detention, due to an incident that we found out was kind of a misunderstanding. Ishigami wasn't really a bad guy in the situation, but he took the fall and wound up out of school for a bit, so he's kind of not had a lot of friends to be close to, so no one has filled him in on this little myth, this legend. And he invites this girl that he's interested in to walk around the cultural festival. It's cute, it's romantic, he wins a prize, he gives her a heart-shaped cookie, except that he doesn't realize he's kind of confessing that he's really into her. Now, he is into her. He doesn't realize what he's done. She's acting super flustered, and now he's kind of created this situation, and everyone's kind of waiting with bated breath. There's like this unspoken rule they talk about in friend groups where if someone else gets rejected, because Ishigami is now waiting on a response from this girl that he confessed to, that he doesn't know he confessed to, so he doesn't know he's waiting on a response. But Shirogane and Shinomiya know that they're waiting on a response, that Ishigami is waiting, or he's supposed to be waiting on a response, and they don't want to do this thing where Ishigami gets his heart broken and then they wind up getting together at the cultural festival. So it's kind of this, I forget what they call it, like a intentional, I forget what they call it, but you know, like when your friend just gets dumped, it's really not the time to start talking about how you and your new boyfriend are very much in love. Maybe it's time to put that on the back burner and you can discuss it in a couple weeks when your friend is feeling better. Or maybe, yeah, just kind of that kind of unspoken polite thing in society. So now there's a lot of tension and we're waiting. Cultural festival does not end at the end of this volume, but at the end of this volume, Shirogane does reveal to Shinomiya that he will be studying abroad in Stanford. This is a huge revelation, and it does end on a little bit of a cliffhanger there at the very end. So I would have volume 14 ready to go because it's a very tense moment, and we're going to have to see how Shinomiya handles this news in volume 14. If you have been enjoying this series or have any comments on this series, please leave it below. I'd love to hear your comments on this series, how it's going for you, what you like about it, what you don't like. Or if you have any series that you think I should be reading but I'm not reading or have not read, please recommend it. I love getting your recommendations. I am an avid reader, but I don't know about every single book series on the planet, and I did not have this book series, this manga series on my radar until someone brought it to my attention. So I need people to bring stuff to my attention that you think I should read that I'm not aware of. I will read it, I will do my best to get my hands on it and give it a review. So please put stuff in the comments that you think I would like to read or review. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.